corner. This is good ball movement by Chicago. They're one of the top assist teams in the league. But here comes LeBron.
The crowd loves it. I don't care where we are. Anytime LeBron can do that.
Stretch in games that are within 5 and 5 minutes to play. Good pass by Giddey. Really good pass, but a better play by Rui Hachimura to block Vucevic from behind. Then strong LeBron. What a sequence for the Lakers. Defense. Kobe White terminates the dribble. Not a good pass. Oh, LeBron had it, but it went right to Vassell. Now they steal it. Here comes Jake. LeBron! Blow it down!
Oh, LeBron had it first. He was on his way, couldn't quite control it, and then Jake got into the picture, and he recovered the fumbled up play, and the rest became history as LeBron was out by himself, and the crowd anticipating this. The Lakers.
Herder right at the buzzer. Really good time down the floor for the Lakers D. Luka with some magic into the corner. Gabe finds Rui with the string music. Knock one down. Get it back to double digits. Luka leans in. Jackson right back to Doncic. And he's got it. Yes. 42. How about full game magic right now?
That one, defense by Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes all the way. Yo! Jackson windmill it.
Luka, you were scoring from pretty much everywhere, but it was nice of you to leave the dunking to Jackson Hayes there down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, he was 1-0, so I thought he was going to miss that, but a pretty impressive dunk.
Yeah, he pulled it out at the end, little East Bay funk. What was the rhythm that you found on the offensive end, and not just with the scoring, but a double-digit assist as well for you?
Yeah, just being aggressive, I trying to blitz, not trying to blitz. They switched up coverage, so I just trying to be aggressive, attack the paint, and then create from there.
Excellent defensive first half for you guys. You forced 12 turnovers. How were you able to bring some of that defense that you had in Dallas late in the game early here in Chicago?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job in the first half. Then we kind of relaxed on the third one again, just like in Dallas. So now we gotta work on our third quarters. But overall, great game for everybody.
Rui had the couple of big threes in Dallas in the fourth quarter, and then he just barely misses tonight. What have you seen from Hachimura?
Yeah, he's been great. Obviously, coming back for injury is not easy, but he's been playing amazing. So we need every time we need him out here, and the way he's playing is pretty awesome.
All right, so still 4 games on this trip. JJ said that at some point hoping to get Austin Reeves back. Have you missed Austin a little bit? Looking forward to getting him back on the court.
Yeah, I can't wait till he's back on court so I can relax a little bit. So he helps us out win these games.
All right, thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
With another win on this road trip, they've now won 4 of 5 games. They're 3-1 at the halfway point of this trip. Tonight was about the offense, 129 points. That's the most they've scored since January 13. Luka was ridiculous and remarkable. 46 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. Lakers shoot 56% from the field. Big game in Danny. 49% from 3 with 16 made threes and 27 fast break points.
Yeah, I think their offense was dictated by their defensive energy tonight. They really got it going early in the first quarter, and that allowed them to, get into a rhythmic game where they could make shots. They were not turning the ball over. They were forcing turnovers. The ball was moving. Everyone got some touches, but I thought their defense kind of dictated what they needed to do, and the ball spread. Luka, obviously, just amazing what he was able to do, but he was able to find Hayes on some lobs. He was able to find Ayton on some lobs early. Rui coming off the bench, 33 bench points tonight, 23 of those from Rui. So they got a nice collective effort. Chicago made a run, but the Lakers, they held their own defensively when they needed to. Jake had 3 steals tonight. He was just active, very active team, and they were able to sustain it even when Chicago got it within 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, Danny, they were able to turn them over 15 times, turn it into 23 points. I think James brings up a great point. That first half especially, they were contesting every shot at the rim. They got a few blocks. They were getting out in transition. And what happens when you're playing good defense? Also, the ball's moving.
Yeah.
And everyone's involved.
And it led to good, easy offense. You know, you get out and running some. Luka changing his pace a little bit. But Bron's able to get out and get some easy ones. Jackson Hayes. There was a stretch, again, that they looked a little bit shaky. But they did a great job of keeping Chicago from not shooting the three as well for most of the duration of the game. There was, I think it was the third quarter, maybe fourth quarter, they got really hot, started the third. But holding them to under 37%, I don't know what the mark is, but I think that's a pretty good. But they pretty much played a lot of defense tonight with their offense. They shot it so well, they moved the ball so well. It allowed them to get back and have a set defense. But it also, again, when you're able to score like that, which they've been known to do, especially with Austin Reeves in the lineup, it helps a lot. It's easy to kind of overlook some of the defensive mistakes, but you got to still find ways to fine-tune that.
Cut it to as few as one, I think, in that third quarter, and then you had the response. So what did you see in the response, and what was kind of consistent with how you've been playing of late there?
We executed well offensively. I thought throughout the game, like I know Luka and LeBron, they took shots and they scored, but their patience to just pass and make the right play was really good. And whether it was Rui, Jake in the first half, DA on the roll, Jackson on the roll, they made a lot of really good simple plays, and that's reflected in our low turnover total. Another game where we get 25 plus assists and we're able to take care of the basketball, challenge the guys before the game. This is a team that really wants to score in the paint and push the pace, and we outscored them in fast break points. We outscored them in the paint. So we did a lot of the things that we talked about pregame. This is a team that, and truthfully, that's part of their run they went on. This is a team that really tests your square to red principles, so your switching principles, and they do a really good job of getting roller behind, changing foot angles, shooting behind the switch, and that's kind of how they got back into it. But yeah, just a really good job from our guys tonight.
What kind of level of talent, it maybe is the right way to put it, but for Luka to get to 46 and without, I think, what do you take, 25 shots, and just how natural a lot of it looked. So can you just kind of put that in perspective?
Yeah, I mean, he has a really good sense of if they're blitzing me in pick and roll, to be that facilitator. And him and I are starting to get that good feel for when he needs to get off ball. When he's on ball and he's having to make a lot of plays, that can tax you. When he's guarding 1 through 5 red on the other end, there's a lot into it. And he came to me a couple times tonight. He was like, "Let's go to this off ball," and he was great off ball. He was great on ball. He was great in the post. He had his whole game working tonight.
Low turnover total could be a reflection of making the simple play that's in front of you. But we also saw Luka with a number of remarkable passes. How can those energize his teammates, but also him, like keeping him engaged with the pass as much through the shot? Yeah,
he, it's similar to like some of the heat checks. I've talked about this. He's an engine that's fully on, and he likes to create out there, and that's part of what makes him a great player. I think because I played with him, I have a pretty good understanding of that. And not to say it doesn't test your patience at times, but you have to be willing to live with some of the stuff that he tries, because more often than not, you're going to get a great result. And he had some great passes. He made some amazing shots. But there's that creative element that he needs to thrive, and you've got to allow that.
How important was what Rui gave you on both ends of the court tonight?
Yeah, I think our bench was awesome. All those guys impacted the game in some way. Rui and Jackson in particular were really good tonight. And Rui now feels like, I know he had the 4 for 13 game recently, but it feels like he's kind of back in his groove. He had not taking a ton of shots and kind of, I don't think was playing well. And I told him that, so I'm not trying to like call him out, but he wasn't playing well leading into his injury. And then it takes a little bit of time to get back in that rhythm. And it feels like the last few games, he's back to who he was at the start of the year. And I think his defensive engagement, particularly the last 2 games, because in Dallas he had a great defensive game on tape as the low man, and again another good one tonight.
On Rui, I think it's the first time all season he's had like at least 10 plus shots in 5 straight games. Is there something about the stagger with him off the bench that leads him to get to being featured a little more on the offensive end that can be harder as a starter?
Yes and no. There are certain games that based on pick and roll coverages, for instance, that if he's just standing in the corner, he doesn't necessarily get it. And Chicago, they allow that pull behind pass in the pick and roll, and he got some shots out of that. And then the last few games we've been running a lot of stuff for him, whether that's ATOs. We got to a single action for him on a side out of bounds. So he's getting enough, and it's. You run an off-ball action and you don't want a mid-range shot, which he typically takes on those off-ball actions, but he's so good at them that, it's a good play for us.
Winning lately proves that you've kind of learned some lessons from your struggles early on in the year.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I always know this, that I can lose my 7th season, and this NBA season is so long. It's really high and down. High up and down. So we always, I always tell myself that stay calm and just do what you gotta do. That's all you can do. That's you can do. Control what you can do. So for me to do this kind of stuff, it's normal. And especially the team is kind of it was kind of down for a couple weeks. So now we kind of get back on the track. So we just gotta keep pushing each other.
Like right now, when you guys are playing, everything's fun. Everyone's having fun right now. When Luka's hitting the shots that he does, when he's throwing the passes that he does, just how does that kind of boost the energy of this team and just make it fun for everyone?
Yeah, I think I want to give it to credit to our coaches, especially JJ and everybody. They talk to the, especially the main, LeBron, Luka, those guys. They always have the ball, and they told them that on the team meeting that they need to be more looking for the teammates, and that's what they've been doing. They took it in a good way, and that's what they've been doing, and we're winning. And everybody get touches and everybody share the ball. It's fun. So that's how the basketball should be. So I think we got to keep doing it, and yeah, we're gonna be fine.